Hi, gang. My name is Kate Miller, and I'm one of the admins on the online art teacher K through 12 group. I am the current president of the Kansas Art Education Association. I am a pre K through 12 certified art teacher for the state of Kansas. I currently teach pre K through fourth. I do curriculum consulting work for children's summer camps. I do studio work, and I'm also have published. am a published illustrator in a couple of children's books. So those are my art hats. I do have several other hats that I wear. I do a lot of social media work for different organizations and businesses. So that's where some of this knowledge is coming from, just so you have a little bit of background on me. I am in no way an expert, but I know enough to be pretty darn dangerous. So I'm hoping to share that with you today. So my focus today is to tell you how joining the Facebook group is going to really maximize what you need for it and what you can get out of it. We all know that Facebook groups can be overwhelming, and there's so many ideas coming at you at once. Sometimes you lose track, or it just becomes too much. And hopefully, this will help you kind of tame that beast and really get it to meet your needs. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a search bar, and this is definitely going to be some review for some of you. Some of you, this is going to be new information, but here we go. So when you're on your desktop, over on the left-hand side, you're going to see if you're in the group, it says search this group. So let's say I saw a lesson on painting, and I did. I saw a great lesson on alternative paints. So, but let's say I don't remember what that fully was about. So I can do the broad topic of painting. And as you can see, a lot of different things come up. Also over to the left-hand side are filters. If I click post I've seen, because I know I've seen it, and I was 99% sure I commented on it, I can click that, and lo and behold, it pops up. There's Sandy's post. I can even see on the comments, you can see my name is there. So when I click that area, I can get to the post, and I'm golden. I've got it. I'm good to go. Now you're going to see I'm going to scroll down here because you should go back and read some of the comments, because a lot of times other art teachers throw out some really great stuff and even some other examples. But you're also going to see that I ask permission to share those images with my students. And that's just good netiquette, as well as just being a good professional to your fellow art teachers. The other way I'm going to show you is if you're on your mobile device, because Facebook does a pretty decent job of staying consistent, but there are things that are different. So in the group up at the top on the left-hand side, you're going to see that little search bar again. So in painting, this is going to pop up faster, and it's probably because Facebook is stalking me, who knows. But I can switch it to posts that I've seen. You can see up on top too, it has a button for that. I could have just tapped it, but you can also use the filters. And again, there's Sandy's great post. And so I can scroll down and easily find what I need. Facebook does sometimes default on what they show. Sorry, I did not use ViewPure. If you don't know ViewPure, it's a website that you can use to kind of clean up some of that stuff that you see on a YouTube video. But we're all adults, so we should be okay. All right. The other thing we're going to talk about is hashtags. Now, a lot of you have probably heard the term. Some of you probably even know what they mean. But I'm going to give an overview that hopefully for our review, it'll be good, or you pick up some new information. And those who are really pretty new to hashtags have some understanding. Hashtags are basically a filing system. And this filing system is used across the World Wide Web. So it's very, very handy. Jimmy Fallon, I feel like, has done a really good job about kind of bringing those towards the public with his hashtags that he does on his show. So hashtags, let's look up here. I believe I did this from the computer. It's very similar across platform though as well. So I'm going to use hashtags that I knew I could find some stuff in. So if you see on the left-hand side when I search, I'm doing my hashtag, which is Catherine Miller Artist. And so I can find, because I knew I had sent something over from my artist page, it was linked in here. So keep this in mind. I'm going to pause this a second before I get too far. Your hashtags in a group setting, that we are a private group, so it's only going to show things from that private group or groups that you are in. That we're searching specifically in the group. If I searched across Facebook, it would be a little bit different, but that's kind of how that works. So if you use a hashtag and it's on a public site or out to the public, anybody who uses that hashtag can find it and see it. Okay, let's move on there. So then you're going to see if I go to the World Wide Web and I search my hashtag, here we go. You're going to see it's got my Facebook page. You're going to see where it's my Instagram and my Twitter account. And anybody else who has picked it up and used it, because once in a while it does go that way. If I do another one, so if you followed me on Twitter, you'll see that I have a classroom gnome. It's my hall pass. He goes on adventures. And so that's the Gnome Inspire. Kansas Art Ed, that's the hashtag that we use for the Kansas Art Education Association. K-12 Art Chat is a really big one in the art world, especially if you're on Twitter. They do a Twitter chat every week. They're fabulous. I highly recommend it. But anyway, so you can find any of these hashtags. This is also a good way to find out if somebody has it. So for example, this is for my town, that, I could see who's using it. The one we're trying to use for this group is OAT K-12. So online art teachers K-12. You're going to see that there were a few art teachers there who are starting to use it. But the more we use that, then what we can do is we can literally do what you just saw me do. We can search on the web, we can search on different media platform, and we can find your posts so we can A, help you answer questions, B, share ideas with each other across all social medias. I anticipate this group, I already feel like we're getting pretty tight, and it's wonderful. And so also to keep up with each other after COVID's over, knowing that we have that, again, that camaraderie. So again, hashtags are a filing system, and they're really handy. If you want to come up with a hashtag for your own art room or your own studio, whatever you want to do, search it on the web first. If you yield 0 results, no one's using it anywhere publicly. If you've got a few and it's been a while, you can jump on the hashtag. Anybody can use the hashtag, but it's a great way too for you, if you're having students use a hashtag, to find work later as well, to find things. Also, popular hashtags are used for things like, again, COVID-19. There's big ones on that. I was a huge Game of Thrones fan, so there were a lot for that. So also to find basically larger groups to help you narrow down, but then people can actually follow your hashtags on Instagram, which is kind of fun. Okay, so now let's talk about Netiquette. And I do apologize. I know I'm probably going a billion miles an hour. If you know me in person, this is kind of what you get. At any point, feel free to pause this, or ask questions, or, again, feel free to reach out to me. You might get a response in the middle of the night, but I will respond. Okay, so Netiquette is really important. You maybe have heard the term before, but it's about making sure that you are being basically kind online, and doing what you need to do to remain professional. Unfortunately, when I open this up, it's cutting off my link down to the bottom where I got the image. So again, you should always, 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 always show where you got your source. There are filters on Google to help you find what's in common use. This one was, which I'm using it, but I still link on the bottom how to get to it. And I'm sure we're going to stick this in a file for you to find later. I want to talk about a few of these because these are kind of the top 10 rules that are kind of uniform across the board, but how they relate to our group. So the one, of course, remember the human. It's super easy to be on another side of a screen and say things and not realize that you may hurt somebody else's feelings. The same is true that you can't read tone in text. So when someone is saying something, you might take it more harsh than it is intended. So always keep that in mind. There's another human on the other side of the screen. Talk it out. All right. I think we're doing a really good job in our group about that and being supportive of each other. Know where you are in the digital space. So that's, again, those things. Who's watching? This is a good reminder for you, just anywhere on the net as a professional. We're in a private group. Just because it's a private group does not necessarily mean it's going to stay private. You can't share things outside of the group. That's why there's no share buttons. And again, it gives a lot of people a little more of a safer space. They feel a little more comfortable sharing when those settings are there. But anyone can take a screenshot at any time. So you want to make sure that you are remembering that even in a private group, you're on the World Wide Web. And if you wouldn't say it to your administrator, to a kid's parent, things like that, you might want to think twice about saying it. So that's just a good rule of thumb. Real life versus online life. All right. It's pretty, kind of straightforward. But, things that we would do, you follow the laws. groups have rules. We have rules in ours. We want to make sure we're following them. Again, we're all doing that really well. Being ethical and not stealing. So the art world for years has always borrowed ideas from others. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, and creativity flows a lot from that. That's why Pinterest is so huge. Although I always joke and say that I'm not Pinterested, but that's a whole other topic. Uh, but you don't want to steal somebody else's work. There are people that go through a lot of effort to create curriculum, to create lessons, and it's their intellectual property. And yes, it is a court of law that could be pushed. Um, but you want to, again, that's where, like, when I asked, may I use these? Don't be offended either if the poster tells you no. They've given you a lot of information on the post. You probably can recreate it yourself. I know it's easier if somebody's already done the footwork, but ask is the polite thing to do. Share your knowledge. Um, we are all really good at something, and don't be afraid to share it. All right. But, also, you don't want a 3 hour long read for someone. Try to keep it concise, how you can, but do share. And in this group, I think, again, people have been so supportive of each other, and I really feel like we're getting a lot of great ideas. And our art practices will probably change once we're back in our brick and mortar buildings for the better. Check your opinions and emotions. It's so easy to get caught up when somebody says something and to burn hot and to fly off the handle a second. Give yourself a minute. Things don't have to be responded to right away. Um, think about it first. If you're, are you sharing the opinion because you're trying to change someone's mind, or are you trying to educate? Are you asserting your own feelings on someone else? I think, again, our group is doing a wonderful job of sharing um, factual things, sharing really good food for thoughts, things to look at for that balance, and that we're not seeing a lot of hate and things like that. And I think that will continue because we're doing an awesome job of it now. But it's a good idea to remember to keep it. It's one thing to have a disagreement with somebody, but keep it professional. Keep it to, again, those facts. Keep it to, have you thought about this, and that sort of thing, and don't attack someone's person. And again, I don't see that as an issue in our group. I belong to other groups outside the art world, and sometimes they can get pretty ugly. Respect other people's privacy. Okay, that's a big one. And again, like I told you earlier, we're in a private group. We don't have the share settings, but it's also just making sure that that person feels like they're in a place that they can share. You don't want to take information and put it out there if you haven't gotten their permission. You don't want to link to something, and including a screenshot, and have that person suddenly feel their trust taken away. So respect other people's privacy, and especially in times of stress, guys. We are, a lot of us are feeling stress we probably haven't felt in years. Some of us maybe never, and we don't want to add to that by breaking someone's trust with privacy. So that's a good one too. And always remember to forgive mistakes. It happens. In good news, we're all teachers here. We all have made mistakes. We've all had lessons blow up in our face. We have all maybe even done a lesson that maybe we're not so proud of later, or said some things to kids that we're not so proud of later. I think the big thing to remember here is people make mistakes. Help them out, help each other out, and we all move forward from that. We wouldn't nail a kid publicly on a mistake that they made. Let's not do it to our fellow professionals. You can always too take it to a private message and say, "Hey, listen, um, I saw this. Did you catch it?" Different things along those lines. All right, saved post. This will be literally a saving grace for some of you. So Facebook does allow you to save posts that you really like. So pop this open here. All right, so let's say I'm searching through and I see something I find like, oh, there's Bob's post, and it's how to use the Google Drive. That's a good one. I definitely need to save that. See on the top it says save post. Now you'll notice I didn't categorize that, but I'm going to get to that later. So then I'm still scrolling down, and maybe I see something else I like, oh yes, this was cool, the virtual clay. So you're going to see me hit save link and then see where it says add to collection. I'm going to add that to my COVID-19 folder. So I am tossing things in there that I think will be really good for my students. Then when I go, if you go on a desktop, you'll see it's up there on the top. It's just facebook.com/saved. And over on the left-hand side are my collections. So if I click that, I can then get into my collections, but I can also change it if I've just hit saved to add it to a collection. And then if I click that collection, I can see the 20 posts that I have actually saved about COVID-19 to keep track of. And you'll see that most of these are art things. Although one is about a post to writing my grandmother letters. If you're interested, I'll definitely give you her address. So that is very helpful and handy. So let me show you what that looks like on your phone. All right, so again, it looks fairly similar. On some levels, I actually think it's easier on a phone. So it's the dots, the three little dots in the upper corner. So you see I'm scrolling down, I'm looking, and then I was like, as I was looking for this, I was like, oh wait, that's kind of cool. Having that little like candy run. Actually, that might have been a ball. So I click those top three buttons, and then I can hit save. You can see it's saved to COVID-19. If I click on the three lines on the bottom of my screen, you'll see there's a button that says saved, and then I can get to my saved things in my COVID-19 folder. So that is so handy. Um, there's also an option to follow posts in that as well if you click those three little buttons. So that was a lot. That was really fast, and I apologize if at any point I sounded a little preachy. I wasn't trying to. I think that we have a really great group here, and I think that we are doing so much for each other. And as my colleagues have been really stressed out about how things were going to work, I thought, man, I'm so glad we have the online art teachers group because art teachers are just great people. We're creative thinkers. We always are problem solving, and to come together and share information like we are is really truly fabulous. So thank you. Please hit me up with any questions that you have. I'm happy to help you at any time.